Okay. Hello? Hello? Testing. 1, 2. Testing. 1, 2. Okay. This is a video, a podcast, whatever you want to call it. Just have a couple of questions to ask regarding Sandy Hook. Okay. Regarding Miss Soto's class, especially, I want to just ask a question and you tell me if it's making any sense or not. Okay? So, alright. This is Miss Soto, and of course, some guy in the background giving up the Baphomet. So, this question I want to ask is, there was 6 survivors from Miss Soto's class, and I don't really hear anybody really talk about this. Six survivors that the 6 survivors that were in Jean's house. Jean Rosen, okay? We all know Jean. Google him. Anyway, so while all that's going on, okay, a bus driver picked them up. Okay, there's other people's videos and they talk about it. I know this is not really organized, but I'm going in. So they pick up these six kids and then drive them over to Jean's house. All right, these are the only survivors. Okay, the only survivors, and these are the only ones that were victims. The only ones. Everyone else is dead or not a part of it. Okay? So, how does 6 children get out of that school and run down that road and no grown-up stops them? They don't run towards any police officers that are there. They just let them run by. It's just kids with blood, witness blood, and they just let them run by. Okay, why are the only survivors unaccounted for? Why are the only survivors hanging out at some stranger's house? Why are they not with the police or authority or with the paramedics? They should be the only people to be getting any type of attention, but they're not. They're over at some stranger's house, and the people don't even know. You know, Jean talks about around noon, a mother comes up and says, "I hear you have children," at noon. Okay? So, and then it's like, word around town is, "I hear you got children in here." Does anybody see how strange that sounds to you? These are the only victims. Okay, so they were the only ones caught up in this crossfire, but yet they're pushed to the side, and don't worry about them. They're the only victims, but let's not talk about them. Let's address all these other people who aren't victims. And like I said, these are 6-year-old children. They run and they leave the class, and they run and they get picked up by a bus driver. And then this bus driver takes them to a stranger's house, and no one's accounting for these kids. These are the only victims. All right. I mean, like I said, it's kind of funny that I don't have a way to articulate what I'm saying. Hopefully, you get the drift. I mean, he's talking about that the kids. The bus driver's supervisor had their phone numbers to their parents. The bus driver had their numbers. So you can speculate on how that went about in doing it. Then he says she called from an office, I assume. I mean, how do you assume something like that? How do you assume they're calling from an office? Really? What makes you think? I mean, we live in a day of cell phones. What makes you think that she's calling from an office? You know? So like I said, these are the only victims that no one gives any attention to. None. They're over at a stranger's house, and the cops, they don't even know. They think they're dead for all they know, because remember, they were running. They were running, and they get picked up by a bus driver halfway through. And then they go, these are the only victims, and they go, hey, you guys sit over here in the grass. Go hang out with some stranger. And these are the only surviving victims. But no one asks that question. I think that's odd. So, okay, I think I got my point across. Maybe I can articulate it later. Okay. Another thing I wanted to ask. Okay, this video right here where it says shooting took place in 2 classrooms. Like I said, 2 classrooms, and these are the only kids that survived from that. And they don't get any attention. It's 6 of them. And they're at a stranger's house. I mean, if you guys aren't paying attention to how that makes no sense and why no one's even talking about that, it's weird. Anyway, so CNN, like, they're showing people running. Why are they showing you a clip of cops running into a school that's not Sandy Hook? What is a helicopter doing there videotaping it? And how did they get their hands on this videotape, and why are they using it? Why is everyone using this videotape? Who is this journalist that gets this picture and says, hey, we're going to use this, we're going to run this? So my question to you is, what is a helicopter doing filming these people running in this? And like I said, they use this footage within that day. So what's that about? Like I said, I feel like I'm in freaking Bizarro World or something. So now, another thing. They initially said, I want to ask you a question. Do you remember when they said that Ryan Lanza was the shooter? How they get that information? How do they know it was Ryan Lanza? And then they said 20-year-old Ryan Lanza. Where do they get the number 20 years? 20 years. Ryan's not 20 years of age. So where did they get 20 years from? Adam's 20. But then why would they say 20-year-old Ryan Lanza? Why? I mean, if you look at somebody's ID, it's going to say what year and how old they are. You do the math. So even if you pick something up and it says Ryan Lanza, where do you get 20 years from? That doesn't happen. That doesn't make any sense. Okay. Number 2, another question is that first they stated that she was a teacher. Then everybody left that alone. No one is even talking about whether she was a teacher or not. It's like facts are irrelevant anymore. She's a prepper, but yet she's a teacher. Everybody knew her at school, and then it turns out she's not a teacher. The last thing I want to talk about to kind of close this up, wrap this up, is the 2 runners in the woods. I don't know if I have that footage on me right now. No, I don't. So, anyway, the 2 runners in the woods. Why is there 2 people running from the police? If you do that, and if a black man did that in the city, run from the police, Mexican, white, whatever, they would shoot you in the back, okay, for running from the police. And then you're supposed to, a mass murder just happened and you're running from the police. See, do you guys see what's going on here? Do you guys know why they ran in the woods? Huh? You were not supposed to see that. That's one of the reasons why they probably are not doing footage anymore of these shootings, because then they have to do damage control and then try to explain things later. So That's what I'm saying, is that there's two people running in the woods. Only one of them comes out with handcuffs. Why are they running? If your children are in there, what are you running from? Does it make any sense? And why didn't that cop shoot? Because he was told there was going to be some suspicious characters around there. Don't shoot. So those are my questions. Really, figure those out. Why were there the only victims were not accounted for? Ran from the house. How did they get there? Who led them there? And why are these kids? This is the focal point of everything, and they're hanging out at some stranger's house. Parents don't even know where they're at. Parents coming in at noon, so that means their parents didn't get to see them to around whenever. How weird is that? Really, these are the only survivors, but yet they're unaccounted for. You know, they're hanging out at some strange guy's house. And and when I mean strange guy, is that yes, he is a stranger to those children. I mean, I don't know anybody's intention. I can just judge people on the outcome of things. I can't read anybody's intentions. So this is what I'm saying: a grown man, and you don't have, it just don't look right. And so, that's what I'm talking about. If you guys could explain why these 6 children, how did they get past all these adults? No one stopped them, and a bus driver picks them up. And then they're hanging out at somebody's house with 2 strange people. This is Miss Soto's class, and they said that there was blood coming out of the teacher's mouth. Well, how did the kids see that? If he's shooting, I don't know. It just seems like they're just trying to paint a picture. And sometimes I guess you just got to leave your emotions behind when you look at this stuff and try to see what's going on, and try not to get too emotionally invested in it, because there's other things going on besides the Sandy Hook thing. So that's all. I'm ranting. It didn't sound too pretty. I might put up a video. I just wanted to put this out there. Thanks for your time.